Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the Finished Podcast, hosted by, as always, Sean Lazarus. And we got Iron Mike Barnett on the show today via Facebook Live. We're going to talk to him and we're going to see what he's all about. Iron Mike, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, man? How are you? Appreciate you having me on.
Hey, I'm doing all right, buddy. Hey, so, I kind of met Iron Mike through a Facebook group, MMA Freaks, and the guy is super intelligent. His breakdowns of fights and stuff like that. It's just I was really interested in having him on the show, and hopefully we can talk about a few fights. Maybe he can break a couple down for me, give me some of his expertise. So, man, Iron Mike, I guess kind of start off with people. Man, how did you get involved with MMA, and how did you get involved in all this crazy stuff?
Man, I was a high school wrestler out in California. I moved down to Alabama for college, and I was one of those kids grew up in the '90s, man. So I was watching Dragon Ball Z and Power Rangers, and
Oh yeah,
I've always been into fighting and martial arts, but I never played or never got involved in it because I was playing football or basketball or whatever. So I was getting ready to graduate college, probably in 2008, 2009. I had about a year left in college, and I was deciding whether I was going to go to law school or what I was going to do. I had an internship at a lawyer's office, man. I was in there for about 15 minutes, and I realized being a lawyer wasn't for me.
wow.
So I was going to have a criminal justice degree, so I was like, man, I got to do something. So I decided I was going to go into law enforcement, and I wanted to learn, basically some hand-to-hand combat because I knew I was going to go into law enforcement, hopefully transition into federal law enforcement.
Yeah.
I just thought it would be something to look good on my resume.
Yeah.
And then I tried it out, man, and I just fell in love with it, realized I had a bit of a talent for it, man, so I stuck with it. And here we are, 9 years later.
That's crazy, man. So how where are you I guess what's your journey, man? So what are your goals? Where do you want to be in 5-10 years with this? Just
Man, my biggest goal with it now, man, is to have world-class skills, man.
Yeah.
That's my goal. I want to be a world-class, fighter, world-class mixed martial artist. I don't think that you have to fight in the UFC to do that.
I agree.
Excuse me. I think there's a lot of guys outside the UFC that are world-class. I just, I want to be respected among my peers.
Yeah.
People that I hope to make my peers, I guess, because technically I'm still a level below most of these guys. But yeah, that's my biggest goal, man. I would love to fight internationally. I'd of course love to fight in the UFC. It's the biggest league on in at least in the United States. I believe ONE FC is actually a little bit bigger over there in Asia. Even though it doesn't get the same press over here.
ONE FC is huge, man. It's a lot of people in the States don't realize that, but it's huge over there.
Yeah. We tend to think that that the UFC is the biggest league in the world, and really, like I said, I think ONE FC is actually the bigger league. Just we get the UFC because that's the American league,
Right.
Or it's an American company.
How close do you feel you are to kind of that that glass ceiling and kind of breaking through and kind of getting on that next level? Where do you feel like you're at with that?
I'm really right on the edge, man. I just need another fight, man. I've got some stuff hopefully coming up at the end of the summer. I was supposed to have this fight last weekend.
Yeah, I remember.
Fell through on me at the last minute. But luckily, my coaches have some good connections, so I still got some stuff that I'm gonna hopefully be able to do. It's gonna raise my profile a little bit as far as fighting, from these regional, local shows to moving up a level. So that's where I'm at right now. Like I said, in the next few weeks or so, I've got some stuff I've got to do family-wise for the next couple weeks, and then after that, I'll be back to my full-time training. So there'll be hopefully a new fight announcement here in about 2 or 3 weeks.
Man,
I like to get ahead of it.
how big of a bummer is that, to go through, I imagine you went through your whole camp. I mean, I guess you had already cut weight and everything, right? I mean, and then all of a sudden
Oh,
the day of the fight it's canceled. I mean, that's
um, not even the day of, man. I was in the back. We were, I was getting one of my teammates, Kenny. He was gonna be the third fighter on the show. We were warming up. Yeah, man. I'm not somebody that does fight camps.
okay.
I train every day. I train 6 days a week. I
Gotcha.
eat good all the time. The only difference for me between preparing for a fight and and what if I don't have a fight coming up really is intensity, man.
Sure.
But I'm always training. Like I train 6 days, sometimes 7 days a week, every week. I don't take days off, man. At the level I'm at now, you really can't. It's how you separate yourself.
Right.
You don't not taking days off and not doing camps, not letting your weight get real high. Like I don't let myself get more than 16 pounds above my weight class.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I had went through everything. Fight week is always tough, man. You're watching what you're eating really, really closely. I mean, you got to weigh your food out and drink tons of water and yeah. So we had cut weight on Friday, man. Like again, I don't get too heavy, but cutting weight just sucks. I mean,
Right.
whether you cut a pound,
Yeah.
whether you cut 20 pounds, cutting weight just sucks. Like there's no.
Yeah.
My weight. People say I had a bad cut. All cuts are bad. First
Right.
off, right? Like
Right.
cutting is bad for you. That's just a factual statement.
Well, actually, while you're on that, how do you feel about especially recently with obviously the most recent with Darren Till, a lot of fighters have been was it 7 or 8 this year on really big cards have been missing cutting
Yeah.
the weight. And then there's a lot of arguments that cutting weight, just like you said, it's not healthy, it's not good for you. Do you think that whole thing is going to evolve as far as people fighting closer to their natural weight versus trying to, go as low as they can so they can fill out more come fight night? Do you think that's eventually going to evolve to where people are fighting closer to their natural weight?
Hey, something happened to the volume. I can barely hear you now. But I did hear your question. Can you still hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you, man.
Okay. Yeah. Something happened to the volume. I don't know what happened. But I still heard your question. I think they're gonna have to address it, man. I mean, if you look at Till, and I've been saying this, I before this fight came up, I didn't know too much about Till, so I went back and I watched all of his fights, man. If you look at that guy's neck and shoulders and his head,
Mm-hmm.
he is way too big for a 70, man. He's
Yeah.
huge.
He looks like a light heavyweight.
If you get a chance, go back and just look at like a side by side, or look at Darren Till's shoulders and neck, and then look at Stephen Thompson.
Yeah.
I mean, they almost don't even look like the same species of person because Till is so much bigger and just thicker in the shoulders and neck area, man.
Yeah.
So I do think that they'll have to address this weight cutting thing if it continues. I mean, Till probably walks around 220 pounds at least, man.
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, he's just so big, and for him to cut that much weight, I think it takes away from his performances a lot, man. I mean, and he still looks pretty good,
Right.
But I think that if he was cutting to 85, he would probably look even more impressive.
Yeah.
And he'd be able to go more. Like people have been complaining about the fight, him and Thompson, and it's like it happened at a slow pace. It was basically a sparring match. Thompson was moving a lot. Till couldn't throw a whole lot. I'm willing to bet because he knows that he would have gassed. So he's trying to walk Thompson down, cut off the cage, and really just pick his shots. Right? He kind of had to pick his shots. I think he only threw 5 rounds. I think he threw like 120 some odd strikes or something like that, maybe 130. And then he landed. I think I've seen 2 different counts. One where he landed 50, and another where he landed 38. So whichever it is, I mean it's not a whole lot, right?
Do you think, as a professional fighter yourself, especially, okay, so as far as the Till Thompson fight goes, you have a lot of people talking about how boring it was, how slow-paced it was, how it was like a glorified sparring match. I know me personally because I've dabbled in some of that stuff and just I haven't done anything. I've trained a little bit in it and I don't know anything. But somebody who trains every day like you do, how does that make you feel? Do you think that I know me? I appreciated the chess match back and forth between them two, and how did you take that?
I enjoyed the fight. A lot of people, like you said, they did feel it was like a sparring match, or this, they didn't really do a whole lot for a lot of people. But I'm somebody that's impressed by good footwork.
Yeah.
I like the way that I like the way that Till tried to cut off the horizontal or the side to side movement of Thompson.
Yeah.
I thought that Thompson did a good job pulling Till into some straight punches with his in and out motion. He takes big leaps in,
Yes.
and then he takes a quick step back, so he makes you want to throw. So he steps in and then steps right back out. You throw, and then when you miss, he's coming right back with something. He actually, I think, it's the third round. He got Till with that twice with his two of his biggest strikes. He hit him with two right hands, catching Till stepping back in. So personally, for me, I enjoyed it. I liked it. I like I'm not a fan of brawls and things like that. I think anybody can get in there and brawl.
Sure.
Any guy off the street can get in there and do that. But it takes a fighter to come in and set punches up, hit and don't be hit. Right. I teach a little bit at my gym, and I always tell people I don't want to be in a fight. Right. Being in a fight sucks. I want to beat people up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's my goal. I wanna beat people up and fight circles around them. I don't want to be in a fight. So I enjoyed
I find that with
tacticalness.
the same exactly the same thing with like a real technical wrestling match when you got two guys and it's just a lot of grappling and there's not a whole lot of action visually, but from training and grappling that stuff's not easy, and even though it looks like there's not a whole lot going on, there's a whole lot going on. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I enjoy stuff like that, and it really it kind of agitates me to see fans that I don't like throwing around that word casuals. I hate that word, but it just agitates me when people boost stuff like that. When like you said, there's a technical chess match going on, whether it's striking or ground game or whatever. It's really agitating.
It's the fight within the fight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's kind of when you, and it's kind of like people who watch MMA period, and they well, why didn't he just get up? I would just get up. Well, no, you wouldn't just get up because that dude would strangle you or rip your arm or your leg off.
The backseat drivers. The backseat drivers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoy that. I mean, I like I said, I enjoyed them trying to say. I know a lot of people, like you said, just felt like it was boring. But I mean, if you're paying attention to what's really going on, they were trying really hard, right? But the other guy was making it like really, really hard to hit that guy and not get caught with something flush.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's one thing when guys aren't trying to do anything and are just kind of like looking. That's one thing. But I mean, those guys are moving around. Till's trying hard to walk him and stalk him and walk him down. Thompson's a tough dude to fight though.
Yeah.
Period. Right. I mean, he just is. I think Till could have came a little bit more with the leg kicks because that karate style, the back of the thigh is just exposed.
Yeah.
And and he did. He attacked that leg pretty good. But I think either stance, if it was me, as soon as Thompson was stepping in, instead of trying to land a punch, I'd have been coming with leg kicks. Man, I've been trying to take that leg out from under him completely. And then after you've done that for three and a half rounds, round 4 and round 5, then you can really walk him down because he's not moving the same.
How did you score that fight?
I actually thought Thompson won 3-2. I had him 1-3 and 4. I thought 2 and 5 were pretty clearly for Till. And then I went back and I talked with one of the guys from the group, PJ. He's a big Till fan anyway, but we looked at the scoring and like round by round, and because it was mainly stand-up fight, so people were trying to say, oh, well Till was controlling controlling the cage, right? That's the first thing. Let me get this out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's not controlling the cage if you're doing what the other guy wants you to do, right? Like think of it like this.
Sure.
You have a boxer in a boxing match, you got boxers versus punchers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a boxer is going to stay on the outside and put combos on you from the outside. He's going to stick and move, right? He's not going to land a whole bunch of stuff flush. Well, a puncher is looking to walk you down and corner you and put you on the ropes and land bombs on you, right? Thompson's thing is staying on the outside, making you come to him and then hitting you and making you miss, right? So if you go throughout the fight, Thompson is making Till do what he wants him to do, even if he's not getting off as much offense as he'd really like. He's really controlling the action with his movement.
Let me play devil's advocate on that. Let me play devil's advocate. So, all right, so I get what you're saying, and absolutely 100%. I know that, and you know that. We both know what Thompson was doing. The only qualm I have with this idea that he should be judged based off of Thompson was making him do what he wanted to do. If we let the judges start basing fights and rounds off of a fighter's tendency, I think you're getting into you're opening up a whole nother box, because I think if we start basing fights off of what this guy usually does or what this guy wants him to do, it's almost like, to me, it kind of opens up a whole nother can of worms, because then I feel like it might go into more of a, the judges it could show bias, because maybe they'll go, hey, Michael Bisping, he can take a lot more punishment than the normal guy, so really he didn't get beat up that bad. So, just little things like that, I feel like that it opens up another can of worms. I agree with you 1,000%. Stephen Thompson made Till fight his fight, and he did not let him, do what he wanted to do. I know that, you know that.
Right.
But I think it poses an interesting question. Should we start, should the judges start basing things off of tendencies?
Right. Now here's here's where I was going with that, because you're right. You don't want to add a lot of layers to judging for judges, right? Especially some of them are I think Adelaide Bird is the daughter of a longtime boxing judge or referee.
Yeah.
And she doesn't. I mean, I don't know if she's ever really watches MMA for real. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I don't want to add layers for judges to be looking for as far as tendencies. Like you said, my only point is with that was a lot of people were saying Till was controlling the cage because of that.
Right.
Right. If you know that this fighter is just for the lack of a better term, is a boxer instead of a puncher, right? Then he's going to give up the center of the cage. Okay, so he's fighting from the outside, so he's not. Right. So that doesn't just because Till was fighting from the center doesn't automatically mean he's controlling the cage.
Correct.
That's my point with that. Not that Thompson. Not that we don't want to get into their tendencies, because I mean you'd have to watch enough to know everybody's tendencies.
Right.
You know
exactly.
what I mean?
Yeah.
You're absolutely right about that. So I just want I've seen a couple people start to really put that out there, and previously I hadn't. So I just want to get that out to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yes, he's controlling. Generally, I would say the man who's controlling the center is winning the fight, right?
Yeah.
But if you got somebody, the Thompsons, the Machidas, who are going to fight from the outside like that, then when you press them, you've got to do something. Otherwise, you're playing their game. That was my only point with that.
Another prime example of that too is the Woodley Maya fight. Woodley stayed on the outside the entire time, because obviously you're not going to want to get into a grappling situation with Maya, and a lot of people again, oh, it's such a boring fight. Well, yeah, but you don't really know what's going on. I'd like some of these people, some of these, like I said, backseat people kind of get in there with Maya. You're going to want to stay away from him too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, so
same thing.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say the same thing with a guy like Brian Ortega.
Yeah.
You got to stay on the outside, and you got to make that guy box, and his boxing's improving, right?
Yes.
If you go back to this fight against Cub Swanson was winning that fight, man.
Yeah.
Cub Swanson was winning the stand-up.
Yeah.
And he got too comfortable.
Yep.
And you can't let Ortega grab you, right? If you let Ortega grab you, I'm gonna say just about all of the 45s, and I'm going to say at least most of the 55s. If Ortega grabs you, he's going to submit you.
Absolutely.
So you can't let that guy grab you. So you got to stay on the outside. You got to stay long. And you got to stay light on that front foot, get that front foot in and out so he can't grab you or clinch you. Cub got comfortable, he got grabbed, he got submitted. The Woodley Maya fight, Woodley never really got comfortable. He didn't get off as much offense as most people would have liked. Well, he really didn't get off much offense as anybody would have liked.
Right.
But he did enough to win. I mean, like I said, guys like Ortega, Maya, Thompson, those guys are tough to fight. You know what I'm saying? Those guys are tough to fight. And so if you're not careful, right, and the name of the game is winning, right? That's the name of the game. Because had Woodley went out there and came forward and was explosive and got submitted and lost his title, we wouldn't be talking about, oh man, we enjoyed his performance. We wouldn't be giving Woodley any praise because he went out there and fought, more exciting for us and then lost. You know what I mean?
Let me. I'll tell you what. Let me digress on Maya for a second. So, and this is just a little theory I have. So, okay. So when Covington beat Maya, a lot of the MMA world were like, man, you beat a guy that's on the downward spiral anyway, so it's not even that big of a deal. And fast forward, and Usman was one of those people. Usman was one of those people saying, it's not really. You beat a guy, whatever, however old Maya is. You beat a 30-something, 40-something-year-old guy, and blah blah blah. Wasn't that impressive? Fast forward, Usman kind of had the not the same, but just a similar performance. It wasn't a whole lot of too much action going on. He got the win, but it's like, do you think that him kind of downplaying the win over Covington affected how his win looked over Maya, if that makes sense?
I think when you make, I think that first, again, like I said, Maya's a tough guy to fight, period.
Yeah.
For anybody. He just is. He's better than you at grappling. Right?
I don't think people give Maya enough respect because it almost, I don't know how he feels about it, but I know, not insulted, but, it irritates me because all the talk of, Woodley versus Maya, Covington versus Maya, Usman versus Maya, everybody just really downplays Maya, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. This guy's been a top 10 fighter for what? The better part of 10 years? I don't know. Like, he's been a top 10 fighter for a long
close
time.
To that. Close to that, man. He was a top 10 fighter when Kobe was in high school. You know what I mean?
I don't think people sleep on him, and it's really, I think it's really disrespectful, and it's he's a top 10 fighter for a reason. He's one of the best, if not the best, jiu-jitsu guy in that division. And he's likely the best MMA jiu-jitsu guy out of all of them. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, I know quite a few black belts, high-level black belts from Brazil. Maya's the guy that those guys are like, that's the guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you ask for me, for the black belts that I know, all of them to a man will say Maya is the guy when it comes to black grappling and black belts. So as far as in MMA, and I mean, like I said, I know a few guys that are world champions that I've trained under, and to a man, it's Damian Maya's the guy. So
yeah,
people sleep on him because he doesn't have the striking or the athleticism of a Woodley, you know what I mean? And that's really the part of it that a lot of fans like is the striking.
Yeah.
Like everybody likes a cool submission, right? Like everybody likes a cool submission. Fewer people like a really cool sweep. Even less people like a guy that can dominate position. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So and then people know, a lot of people can recognize the basics, right? You recognize when somebody takes somebody's back, and they're probably looking for a rear naked choke, right? Less people recognize, oh man, he's in half guard, he's setting up he's setting up an arm triangle from half guard, or he's setting up an arm bar that I'm not really seeing until it's happening. You know what I'm saying? So that's part of why people sleep on Maya. One, like I said, he doesn't have the striking, and he's not the athlete that some of these other guys are. But if he grabs you, you're probably going to lose. So these guys are all these guys are all, nervous and worried about fighting him.
Yeah.
I think
As they
Usman
should
is a
be.
guy that, yeah, he made himself look bad with that, right? Because
Yeah.
oh man, you fought Maya, you beat up an old man,
Yeah.
and then you turn around and fight Maya, and you have to do the exact same thing,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
you didn't engage and really get after him either, because So while you're trying to devalue Colby's win, you end up devaluing your own win. It's like guys talk about this in basketball. The number one team comes to your gym and plays, and the lower ranked or the unranked team beats them, and then the crowd chants overrated. Well, you're devaluing your own victory by calling that team overrated.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I think Usman does take away from his win over Maya and his own, performance, which again it's a tough fight to win, even if it's really boring and there's not a lot going on. I think I would. That's not how I would do it. I would show respect to Maya because one, he's just earned it.
Yeah.
And he's just a tough fight. Period.
What do you think? I guess back to Brian Ortega. So how do you feel him and Holloway, man? I tell you, I'm a huge Holloway fan, but I love Ortega's story. I love the way he's come up. I love the way how he was like, he was like this, in a poor family, and started training at this gym, and they kind of took him under his wing, and he got hooked up with all them, and it's just I'm really into his story just personally, and I'm I'm a little worried either way because I don't want Holloway to win. I don't want Ortega to lose. It's weird. I'm in a weird spot with this. I'm really invested into this fight. How do you see this going? Because you got the crazy kind of unorthodox style of Holloway, and then you have on the flip side, Ortega is kind of weird too. His ways is kind of weird. He's improving in his stand up, but then like you said, he can snatch you literally from anywhere, as we saw in the Cub Swanson fight. And he can also, with the evidence with the Frankie Edgar fight, he can knock you out from anywhere. So, where does this fight go, man? What do you think?
First, I have to say that elbow that he hit Frankie with was, that was levels above what anybody thought his striking ability was. I mean, I've been practicing that since I saw it. I mean, that was amazing, right? So let me just get that out of the way. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Man, this is an interesting fight. It's a tough fight. I'm leaning towards Holloway because when Holloway first came to the UFC, he was like 22 maybe, and he had no coaching. He had no he trained outside, and not because it was to change of pace. They had nowhere to train.
Yeah.
He has since gotten a coach and gotten a gym, and he's got all this stuff going now. So, that's why he's been on a tear since he organized his structure and he got some structure to his career. He's a little bit longer. His striking, I think, is still a few levels above Ortega's.
Yeah. And
obviously that's what he likes to do anyway. But his grappling's coming along. Now, his boxing is coming a long way, and like I said, they're mixing in these elbows and things. I think Max tries to stay long and mixes in more kicks. Ortega is a great grappler, but he's not. I don't know that he's a great shot taker, right? Or a great, it's I don't know what his takedown game's like. I don't. Max is a guy, right? A little bit taller. He can stay a little bit further back and still hit you.
Yeah.
Even though Ortega's, I think, around 5'9", 5'10". I know Max is right at 5'11", almost 6 foot 45. Yeah. So Max tries to stay long, mix in the kicks to the legs. What to see what Ortega kick defense really looks like. I think we'll have to see more development from Ortega striking. But again, he's a guy that if you slip up, if you make a mistake, if you get heavy on that front foot for a second, he will grab you.
Yeah. And
in a clinch, you're in a bad spot with that dude. So I'm looking for Max to stay long, use the jab, low kicks, and body kicks. I'm thinking Ortega's going to try to close the distance a little bit, try to make it a little bit more of a boxing match if it stays standing. And and really try to. I think he's really going to try to catch Max coming forward, because Max will get a little aggressive sometimes,
Yeah.
and like walk forward with strikes.
Yeah.
I think if Max does that, he walks into a body lock takedown, and then I think it's Ortega's world. I'll be honest. I mean, Max, I believe, a purple belt, 2-stripe purple belt. But I mean, Ortega's on another level when it comes to the grappling part of it. I'm certain Max doesn't want any part of Ortega's grappling. That's the part I'm certain of right now.
That's an interesting point because, like you said, he comes forward a lot. If he fights Ortega, say the same way he fought Aldo, he stayed coming forward and you just forward pressure the whole fight, and that's because Aldo kind of needs a little bit of a setup in order to kind of get going, and he knew that. So hey, I'm going to come at you first. That way, it's not going to allow you to set up your punches. And I think you're right. I don't think he can't approach Ortega in that same fashion. So it'll definitely be interesting, and I think either way, I think it's definitely going to be an exciting fight, and I think somebody's going to sleep either way. To be honest with you, I don't think this one goes to decision. I honestly don't know a prediction. I don't know if I can give a prediction. My gut tells me that Holloway's been in this. He's been in more big fight scenarios before, whereas Ortega, it's just this is all new for him. This is every fight that he's in is his biggest fight of his career, especially as he keeps moving forward like this. So he might not act like it, but he's got that pressure on him, and I know he seems like that he's cool as a cucumber, but I don't know, man. That pressure, that big fight, being on that big of a card, especially with the Stipe DC fight, there's gonna be a lot of eyeballs on that card. So I don't know, man. I don't know how this goes. My gut tells me Holloway is more prepared from a mental side, just from an experience side. But like you said, you cannot sleep on Ortega because the moment Holloway, I think, gets comfortable and maybe he says to himself, I got this kid. This kid's stepping into my world. And, as soon as I think he starts to think like that, I don't know. I don't think he can toy with Ortega the same way he kind of toyed with Aldo. I don't think it's the same. It's a completely different animal.
Yeah, definitely not. The other thing with the pressure, that works for a lot of people. I'll tell you this, man. The stuff. I'm from Southern California too, right? I'm from a little bit different area than Ortega's from, but the stuff that kid has dealt with growing up, the stuff that happens in the cage, that's not gonna faze him, man. That dude made it through. That dude already made it, man. He doesn't.
Yeah.
That dude's is got enough mental toughness to make it through anything that happened in the cage. Ain't nothing that's gonna happen in that cage is gonna be like the stuff that he dealt with just getting to that point. So I think he'll be fine when it comes to the pressure. I mean, the same thing with Max, though. I mean, Max is the same guy. I mean, same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Over there in the rougher part of Hawaii. I don't think that. I think you're right. I don't think he can toy. I don't think he can be as aggressive, really be as heavy and sit down on those punches like he did against Aldo. I think he got sloppy a couple times with Aldo when he got caught. Man, he was willing to eat some of Aldo's shots, man.
Yeah.
Ortega, if you eat some of his shots like that, and he brings the same power he brought in that Frankie fight, man. He's not looking to finish you with punches. He's gonna snatch you up. He's gonna snatch your neck, and he's gonna put you away with the choke, man. He's gonna snatch you. He's probably gonna jump to that guillotine, and put you away. So I'm right now. I'm leaning towards Max. I'm leaning towards Max right now, but just because I think he's got a little bit better footwork. I think he's just a little bit ahead in the striking, a couple levels ahead. Honestly, I think he's a couple levels ahead in the striking, and I think since that's where the fight's going to be able to start, I think he's going to try to keep it there and stay a little longer. Then I think it's going to be harder to hit for Ortega than Frankie was.
Who do you kind of look up to? I guess that's kind of made it like in the UFC, stuff like that, fighter wise. Who do you look up to? Who's the guy, when you see his fight, you're like, I've got to see his fight, no matter what, I got to be in front of a TV and watch this fight? Who are the guys that you look up to?
The guys I like, I first not UFC, but Mike Chandler,
Yeah,
Bellator. I
yeah,
really like. I think Mike Chandler. I think if Mike Chandler came over to UFC, I believe he's a top 3 to 5 lightweight.
really.
I really like his style, boxing, wrestling. Yeah, I mean he's big power in either hand. Um, I really like the way I like a lot of Cody's. I don't like some of Cody's attitude, but I really like the way Cody fights. With the boxing wrestling combination, his footwork against Cruz was. I, Most people had never. I know I had never seen that from Cody. That kind of footwork, man. That footwork in the Cody Cruz fight was just impressive, and he like really.
Yeah.
People were saying he looked so much faster than Cruz. It wasn't that he was really moving faster; he was just moving better.
Right.
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 When you have better movement, you look faster.
Right.
I really like. Most people don't like Demetrius Johnson. I like Demetrius Johnson a lot, man. I just think he's the best in the world, and I don't think anybody's putting it together like him.
You know, he's one of those guys too. Like we're talking about, he's one of those guys I think that people sleep on just because he's not the most exciting guy to watch. But like we
Yeah.
talked about, he's one of the, there is so much going on when you're watching a Demetrius Johnson fight. There's so much going on. There's so much, technical prowess going on that it's just. I think a lot of people don't appreciate it, but no, he's a bad dude. I do wish I do want him eventually, if it doesn't happen to happen right now, but I do eventually want him to kind of bump up in weight class. Now at the same time, I'm not one of those people. I don't think he has anything to prove, so it's not like that. But I think just from a fan standpoint, I'd love to see him and TJ, him and Cody, I'd like to see him and Cruz go at it again.
Yeah, I think so too. Let's see, who else do I like? Just a couple more. I do like RDA. I like Robbie Lawler. I like guys that are. I like Cowboy. Cowboy a lot, man. Everybody likes Cowboy,
Yeah.
right? Like nobody's favorite fighter list is complete without Cowboy.
Yeah.
But I like guys that can fight technically. I like guys that are technically sound, and show good movement. So anybody that's really like that, guys like who else? I'm trying to think. Carlos Condit before he kind of fell off lately. I really like Carlos Condit. He was one of my favorite fighters.
You have you
guys like
watched
that
you watched any of Max Griffin?
I know of Max Griffin, but I haven't watched him
He's
lately. I can't think of how-
he's the guy that knocked out oh man, not knocked him out. He won though. He beat oh my god. Who's the guy that he's got the teardrop tattoo? Jesus. He lives in Florida. He's got the teardrop tattoo. He just broke up with his
Mike Perry.
Yes. He's the guy that just beat Mike Perry like, I don't know,
Yeah.
a few months ago.
Yes, Mike. That was that kind of fighting, man. He didn't let Perry drag him into a brawl.
Yes. His footwork and his ability to, stop the setups of Mike Perry. We had him on a couple weeks after the fight, and it was pretty cool, him talking about it and just talking about his calmness. And I've always said that I feel like somebody's calmness in the octagon, I think it goes a long way, and you can really separate the guys, I think, who are on that other level. I don't know if it's a confidence thing or not, but it's just that comfortableness, that calmness, and I feel like those are the guys that they're able to kind of open up and perform better, not be so stiff, not be so stiffness is. I've seen too many guys get knocked out just for being too damn stiff.
Yeah, absolutely. They Max Griffin and one more guy that we haven't seen for a while, but I can't wait for him to come back. Rob Font.
Yeah.
Rob Font can freaking fight, man, and I cannot wait till he's back. So UFC, get Rob Font back in there.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, those. The thing with that, man, people talk about getting amped up, right? Like people that don't fight or don't train or haven't done it before. Like some people were asking me before my fight, man, you're so calm. You need you to get amped up. But I'm like, man, I'm concentrating on staying calm right now. If you need to get amped up to get into a cage and fight another man, you need to go to the doctor because something's wrong with you.
Right.
Right? Like, I mean, you should not need to get amped up to go fight somebody, because you're gonna fight somebody, right? Like, so yeah, being able to stay calm and think clearly allows you to like focus
Yeah.
and like you said, not get drawn into to wars, and not get drawn into traps. You're so amped up and hype and, like you said, stiff, like you said.
Yeah.
One, you're gonna get yourself more tired that way, and two, you're not gonna go in there and think clearly. And if you want to be able to, you want to be like a computer in
Yeah.
there, man. You want
Yeah.
information to come in, you want to process it quickly, and you want to have your response. So yeah, definitely the guys that can stay calm, and that takes time to learn. Um, that's for me. It took time to learn. I probably, so I'm overall I have 20 fights including my amateur career, and I've got 5 losses. And being able to stay calm and fight and not just like react and do things
Yeah.
has been as something that I had to learn. So the guys that can do that comes more naturally too. That's definitely a benefit. Yeah, if you don't fight, you don't fight on emotion. You fight with your head. And
Let me ask you this on that topic, as far as like, when your head's clear, as somebody who's, like I said, you've been in there, and like I said, you train 6 days a week. You've been in there and done it. Do you feel that it's more? Do you feel that the average of how do I word this? The average of fighters winning, they're more successful being a proactive fighter versus a reactive fighter. And well, I guess what I mean by that is like, there's a lot of counter punchers and counter strikers. While there are some very successful counter punchers, Silva's the biggest one I could think of off the top of my head. Anderson Silva, his main thing was counter punching. But to me, that seems more of like a reactive fighting style versus proactive. I feel that, just from my perspective, as a fan, and like I said, what little dabbled, I've trained in, I feel like having the other person react to you seems like a better strategy. Like, I want the guy to be looking for what I'm doing, not the other way around.
yeah, here's the thing. That makes sense in that, like, you don't want to change who you are fight to fight,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like, you want to work on the things that, your style, and then what makes you good,
Yeah.
right? And so you should like concentrate on yourself. Like, that's my biggest thing, right? Like, for me, I concentrate on myself while I'm training.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get better and better and better,
Right.
right? And then so when I have an opponent, and my coaches look at the film, I might look at it once. My coaches will look at the film, and they say, okay, this guy does this, this, and this. So in preparing for a specific person, I'm going to still continue to develop my game around what I do well to counter what he does well. So depending on the guy, so let's say if I'm fighting a counter striker, I need to attack him in a way that he's not used to being attacked, or at least
Sure.
attack his weaknesses.
Sure.
Like, I'm not gonna, like, if a good counter boxer, then I'm gonna attack him with kickboxing. I'm not gonna attack him with just boxing, right? I'm not gonna let him pull me into what he likes as far as the into striking. So it depends. It depends on the opponent, in my opinion, right? Like, if I have a guy that's really good coming forward, then I'm gonna come forward and meet him, right? Because he might not be that great fighting off his back foot, but I'm gonna come forward my way. So my other thing with that is, you can be a proactive counter fighter, right? Like, I might throw a jab and I might be circling a certain way. So I'm now, even though I'm countering what you're throwing, I'm still being the aggressor because of my movement, and then my counters are aggressive to the head, to the body, and to the legs.
Sure.
So sure, you're coming forward and you feel like I'm reacting off you, but really I'm setting you up.
Sure.
So he's
Sure.
still reacting off me, right? The thing is, you don't want to chase a guy,
Right.
right? I can make you chase me, or I can come after you and cut you off. The best fighters can fight going both ways, right?
Right.
Going forwards and backwards, right? Fighting
Right.
off the back foot, fighting off the front foot.
Right.
It's easy. It's actually easier to learn to be a counter striker when you don't know any striking,
Yeah.
right? Like, if you know no striking, you can learn, when I slip, I punch, right? Or when I
Right.
slip, come back with a kick.
Right.
Anybody can do that.
Right.
It's a little bit harder to learn come forward, aggressive. Because anytime you throw a punch, you're open for a counter punch. Or anytime
Right.
you strike, you're open for a counter strike.
Right.
So it's a little bit harder to learn move forward, strike, and still, move and not get hit.
Right.
You know what I'm
That
saying?
makes
So that's
sense.
why you have a lot of
Yeah.
guys that are better at counter striking just because it's easier.
Yeah.
But so if you can do both, it's better. I mean, if you can do both, you're a level above, and then you take it, you use it on the person that depending on who it is, right? Like if it's a guy that likes to sit back and wait, then you need to come at him with angles. Like don't come straight at him.
Right.
Throw something, move, and then come, right? And then come with something. Come with something from a different angle. You got to give him a different look. If it's a guy that likes to come forward, don't let him be the bully. A lot of people that like to come forward, if you hit back, they shrink a little bit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
unless except for the top guys, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So depending on how your opponent fights, that is how you should fight, if that makes sense.
No, that makes. Hey,
That kind
hey,
of
man, you're the expert. That makes perfect sense. That makes a lot more sense. What do you feel? What is more gratifying to you? Because I know that you're an instructor as well, correct?
yeah,
What
yeah.
is instructing your students more gratifying for you than say winning a fight? Is it different? Is it kind of about the same? What do you feel like you get more out of on the teaching side or on the the personal? I got the W side. I got the win. Um,
Mhm.
what's more gratifying to you?
Um, they're different. I would say seeing my teammates or my students, but particularly my kids. I coach kids. Shout out
Mm-hmm.
to all the kids at Port City
Mm-hmm.
MMA. Really seeing them succeed is a little bit more exciting for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
I get way more nervous watching my friends and my I don't just call them my students, but my teammates fight. I get way more nervous for their fights because I'm wondering, did I prepare them for this? Did I prepare them for that? Did we go over everything? Did I get them in enough shape? Like I don't want my friends to get hurt. So, but seeing them win, uh, that's a little bit more exciting for me personally.
Do you kind of hold yourself
Not,
responsible? Say if one of your teammates loses, do you almost kind of hold a piece of that responsibility on your
I
shoulders?
do. I do feel some of that. I feel like I could have done more, especially if I'm watching a fight and they've listened
Mm.
to everything I'm saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've listened to everything I'm saying, or they did everything I asked them to do, and then they still lost. And I'm like, I need to get better as a coach. I need to get better as a teammate, as a training partner, right? Now, if you go out there and you fight and you don't do the things that we've worked on, or the things that I'm yelling at you from the corner or from the side of the mat
Yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah.
I'm gonna feel a little bit less responsible.
Right.
But I mean, I'm still going to feel bad that my friend, my guy didn't win. But I mean, one of the other things with all of this is being able to listen to your corner. I'm lucky for me personally, man. I can't even hear anything other than my corner.
Right.
Um, my corner's voice in a fight. I mean, it could be. I mean, there's been 2,000-3,000 people in the arena screaming, and all I can hear, I hear white noise and my coach's voice. So I'm one of those people that's lucky that I mean, I don't know, maybe my brain just doesn't work the way it's supposed to or what, but I don't even hear anything else. And when you train, responses so much, and then you see them coming, then you do what you train. So yes, for me personally, seeing my guys win is a little bit more gratifying, but there's nothing like getting your own win too. I mean, it's
Sure.
it's just
Sure.
different, you know.
Do you feel? I guess how important is it? Well, I guess let me phrase this way. Do you think that a good coaching staff has the ability to kind of turn maybe a mediocre fighter into a great fighter? Like, how important is having a good coaching staff behind you and having a good support system?
That I mean, that's really the most important part of it, man. If you got a fighter that's willing to work hard, a good coach can turn him into a champion. I mean, and that's just it. If you're willing to work and you're willing to listen, you got a decent coach, then you'll do well, right? Because in this whole game, one of the things I like to say is a fight game demands its pound of flesh, right? Like
Mm,
there's nobody getting by getting to the top level, having a bunch of success fighting that isn't working their butt off.
Right.
There's nobody out there that's doing. You just can't. You just absolutely can't.
Right.
Because it will and it does catch up with you
Yeah.
every time without fail.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the things, man, especially a guy like me that started a little bit later than some of these guys, man. I said I was about 20, 19 or 20, I think, when I started training. You know, I've been able to progress a lot faster because my coaches, I've only had high level coaches. I mean, my main coach, Jimmy Mills, he trained in in the Netherlands under Ramon Dekkers, right? So my kickboxing lineage is Ramon Dekkers, Jimmy Mills, and then me. So I'm like one person removed from being taught by one of the greatest kickboxers of all time.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you know my grappling, same thing. He trained under Helio Soneca, who's a Brazilian top team founding member, right? So my basics for my striking and my jiu-jitsu are one level removed from, you know, world famous, world championship level training and teaching. If you start out with that kind of, if you've only ever been trained by world champions, you only have world championship, you know, techniques and world championship level training. You add that in with somebody that, you know, takes the dieting serious, takes the cardio work serious, the strength and conditioning serious, right? So if I do my part as far as my strength and conditioning, my cardio, and showing up to the gym, right? Showing up and training, and you're being taught by some of the best people to do it, you go out there and do it better than other people. So, I mean, in my opinion, good coaching is really make or break, man. Make or break. Like I said, and like for me personally, I've been training right at 9.5, almost 10 years. The whole time it's been under, you know, like I said, my coach was a champion. He had world championship coaches, right? I trained in California. I trained with Team Quest and Sam Alvey and under Dan Henderson.
Yeah.
Trained at their gym. I trained with Rafael Cordero and Kings MMA. I trained at Alliance a few times. So, I mean, when you're training when you've got high level partners and high level guys and high level coaches all around you, it forces you to get better because you'll get beat up.
Yeah.
You just will. When I left here to go to California for a while, man, I was one of the better guys around, you know, in this area. Before I left to go out there, and you know, I'm getting worked by, you know, the lower level guys in the gym. I mean, it forces you to get better. So
what's the saying? Iron sharpens iron, right?
Iron sharpens iron, exactly, man. And you have to having those good partners and those good coaches is everything, especially if you're a guy that takes the rest of it serious. I mean, you could have the best coaches in the world, but if you know you're not showing up to the gym, you know, you're not taking your dieting serious, you're not taking your you know, you're not doing your road work or however you get your cardio in, then I mean, that part's not gonna matter. But for a guy that's taking it serious, oh yeah, man, the having a good team is the most important part of it, man. You can't do this without a decent team.
I tell you, man, I wish I had a time machine, man, because I'm a little older than you, but I had gotten into, you know, I did pro wrestling for a while, and I got involved with that for about 6-7 years. I think had MMA been, you know, what it was now, back, and this is 2002. Had MMA been what it was back then, I really feel, you know, I probably would have got involved in it. I love grappling and wrestling and stuff like that. So anyway, but yeah, I wish I would have gotten involved, and I definitely I feel like I could do a little something, or at least I would want to. But this ain't happening. It ain't happening now. But
yeah, man.
But anyway, man. But so, you know, you talked about that you know, your fight got canceled and stuff kind of happened, and what do you think? You know, I know you probably can't make any announcements or nothing now, but you know, the Contender Series is huge now, and there's opens up a lot of doors for a lot of people who might not otherwise get a shot. And
That's
I mean,
true,
is
man.
that something that that you're trying to
That's
get your hands in?
something. Yeah, that's something I'm trying to sneak into that, man. I hope I hope to be able to get in there. I know a few guys that are actually gonna fight this summer.
Uh huh.
Are scheduled to fight. Christopher Curtis.
Yeah.
He's gonna be on it. In like 2 weeks, I think. Maybe next week. That is.
Yeah.
Whenever I think that is next week. Week after next, I think. The 12th, I think. 12th or 13th, whatever day that is. He's gonna be on it.
That's cool.
Tyler Hill. He's the guy who lives over here in D'Iberville, Mississippi. Trains
Mm.
at Allen Belcher's. He's getting ready to be on it. It's a guy I train with a lot. Um, we have some stuff. I'm hoping to have. I'm hoping to get on that. I think I think I'm one of the guys at a level that they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
I may have to get another fighter or two before I can do that. But we'll see. I've got some management companies looking into some stuff for me. Talk to me about possibly signing, and really that's the way you get on to that's the way you get on the Contender Series is through you sign with a management company, and then
Man,
they're actually the ones that get you on nowadays.
Iron Mike's gonna have an
So,
agent here pretty soon.
man, hopefully, hopefully so, man. Hopefully
That's
so. I
crazy.
get me an agent and
Yeah.
get them arguing to have me on that Contender Series.
Yeah.
There's that route. There's always, of course, trying to get onto one of the bigger regional shows like LFA.
Sure.
That's another route. I actually had a fight with LFA that I accepted in January. Man, this is kind of luck I've been having. I got offered a late minute fight for LFA in January of this year. I accepted the fight, I think Thursday or Friday, on like a week and a half's notice.
Wow.
Come back, I've worked out all weekend. I'm getting ready. Tuesday or Monday when I get to the gym, I found out that the other guys initially picked me or initially accepted me as taking the fight, and then I don't know if they watched some tape or what, but changed their mind, said they didn't want to fight me. So I
Oh
missed out
wow.
on the chance to go fight on LFA out in Phoenix. And then the guy I was supposed to fight ended up fighting one of my he picked a former trainer partner of mine out from California, Jordan Winsky. And Jordan knocked him out in the first or second round. And Jordan's is more of a 35, I think, than 45 or 55, whatever weight that fight was. I think that's 45. But yeah, Jordan's more of a true 35. So I think that guy, which Jordan had a few more fights than me, has a few more fights than me. So yeah, this guy
Were you like
denied
somewhere
fighting
deep
me.
down where you're like, man, that could have been me?
Oh man, I was outwardly. Man, I won't even lie to you, man. Outwardly, I was like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm happy for Jordan. Like,
Right.
don't,
Right.
I don't want it to come across like I'm not extremely happy for Jordan.
Right. Right.
I was pulling for him hard. It was a buddy of mine. He helped me out a lot.
Right.
But yeah, man, I was like,
Sure.
man, that guy was gonna make me look like a superstar.
Yeah. Sometimes all
Yeah,
it
but
takes
it's
was a match. Styles make matchups, man, and
yeah,
I think that's definitely that kind of case. You're probably right. Maybe he saw something he didn't like, and he's like,
yeah.
let me back out of this. But
Yeah, I think that's what happened, and then he ended up trying to take somebody I think he thought was going to be an easier matchup, which I don't know why, because Jordan was I think 7-1 or 8-1 at the time, but like I said, he's had more fights at 35 than 45, so I think the guy was trying to pick somebody he thought he'd be bigger than.
yeah,
But Jordan put it on. It's actually the fight after the fight. He and Sam Alvey did the Stone Cold Stunner, and Stone Cold retweeted it.
yeah,
So if you haven't seen that, check that out. That's pretty cool.
yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I know. I know Sam is. He did the that series that Stone Cold does. That oh man,
Yeah.
oh my god, the like the redneck boot camp thing. Oh, I mean whatever. I don't know what it's
Yeah.
called. It's something like that. I
Yeah, I
know
know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I know Sam did that. And he said it was one of the hardest things he's ever done. But
Yeah.
yeah, man. Well, it was a pleasure talking with you, man. I'm gonna wrap it up, but I'm sure we could probably talk for hours on end. But I'd love to get you back on again soon. And
Yeah,
like I
man,
said,
definitely. I would love to.
I love your I love the way you break stuff down, and you're obviously you're a real intelligent dude. So I'd like to get you on here. Maybe like some post fight breakdowns or something. I don't know, but
Yeah. Absolutely, man. I enjoy doing it, man. It's I played and did every other sport just about growing up, and then now I'm doing this. And like I
Yeah.
said, my training, I've only had high level coaching in all of this, so I can look at it from a high level coach's standpoint because
Yeah.
I only have to look at the things that I was taught, right? I mean,
Right.
I was taught to look to break down fights and
Right.
fighters tactically.
Yeah.
So that's really why I have the ability. I
Well,
mean,
it's a good tool in your pocket because a lot of people can't. One of the hardest things to do, and is being able to look at a fight and take your whatever fanboy, whatever preferences you have on whatever fighter, being able to take yourself out of that equation because, you know, I was a Stephen Thompson. Well, I'm not was, but I'm a Stephen Thompson fan. I'm not so much
mhm.
into Darren Till, but you know what? I thought Till won the fight. I took myself out the
Mhm.
equation, and it's a really hard thing to do to kind of put on that cap and be able to analyze a fight and look at a fight and take your personal preferences out of the equation.
Yeah.
And for you being able to do that, as a professional fighter, I can imagine that it's my God. You can look at your tape, you can look at the tape of the guy you're fighting, and you're able to break it down instead of having somebody. There's so many people rely on their coaches to break it down for them. I feel like it's
Yeah.
such a great tool that the fighter themselves can look at it and be like, okay, he does this way, he moves to the right, he sweeps to the left, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But that's such an invaluable tool that I don't know if it can necessarily be. I mean, I guess it could be taught, but um, I think it's just in the way that people think, that kind of outside the box
Yeah. I
thinking.
think the biggest thing for me is that being taught how things should be done if they're being done technically correct,
Sure. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So now you know how it should look. You know where someone should step. You know where someone, you know,
Yeah.
should keep their hands. You know how they should keep their chin.
Yeah.
You know whether their hip level should be. So once you know all those things, right, and then it obviously branches out style to style,
Yeah.
right? But once you know those things, then you can when you see them, you can look for it, and then you break somebody down. So once you know, okay, this guy steps in, and when he throws his jab, he doesn't bring the jab straight back to his face. He kind of rounds the jab back up,
Right.
right? So
Right.
so he breaks a circle. I have, if I make him miss that jab, I can come right back with something just because I'll have that half second to a full second
Yeah.
before his hand gets back to his face,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Picking out lazy jabs or being able to tell a good straight right hand from like a looping right hand,
Right.
or a good hook versus a check hook. I mean, all that stuff comes from being taught the correct way to, I would say the correct way, but the technical way to do
Right.
it. And then when somebody's not doing it the technical way, you can then look at how to beat it. So it can be taught, but something you have to pay attention to because a
Right.
lot of guys will.
Right.
It's not something that a lot of guys that know it can really articulate.
Right. Yeah.
Being able to articulate it is the tougher part.
Yes. I agree with you 1,000% on that. I agree with you 1,000%. All right, man. Well, like I said, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but like I said, thanks for coming on, man. And like I said, I'd love to get you on again soon. And
Yeah, man.
it was a
Have me
pleasure,
on.
man.
If you give me about 2 weeks, man, I'll look at some more of Ortega's previous fights, and I'll be able to really tell you how I think he'll attack.
Yeah, for sure.
I think he'll attack Holloway, man. Right now, I'm thinking he's gonna try to attack with boxing and close the distance for a body
Sure.
lock, but I got to really look at some of his other stuff first. But
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
give me a couple weeks, and then we can
yeah.
do it again.
Well, we'll for sure be in touch, man. So, we're just a couple messages away. So, we'll for sure be in
Yeah,
touch with
absolutely.
you. Anyway, man, have a good one, buddy.
You too, man. Thanks for having me on again.
My pleasure, man. Have a good one.
Bye.
Hey, guys, if you enjoyed the show, please don't forget to check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram. Send me a message. I'm going to scroll up here like long walks on the beach. I don't know. You never know. And please, for you audiophiles out there, we're on iTunes, we're on Google Play. Don't forget to like, share, follow, and subscribe to us. Helps us out a ton.